welcome to the Zooming Hoosk Podcast. And I'm your host, Dustin DaHusky.
And I'm Kurdan, Sourpuss.
Halloween is upon us.
It is.
It is that time of year where all the leaves have fallen and now it's cold as balls. And the balls do not like the cold.
No, they do not.
Neither do the nipples, but the nipples are most excited for some reason.
My nipples are always excited. I can't even explain why. People come at me at work and they're like, "Man, aren't you cold? You're just wearing a t-shirt and your vest."
No duh.
And everybody else around me is wearing winter jackets and winter hats. This was even common though in the summertime. Because it's colder where we're at. We're between two different refrigerated walls. Even on the
you're
sales
used
floor.
to that.
I am. But even beyond that, my nipples are always hard.
They poke through the shirt.
They do. As long as you've known me, you've noticed.
I've seen your very excited nipples. One of my coworkers likes to see. They're excited right now. Oh my God, the twins! My coworker Greg, he's an older gentleman, and he's the individual that wears two T-shirts. So he wears an undershirt and he wears a T-shirt. I can understand why, because everyone else doesn't. But you get to see some nipple nose action. And Greg, he is in fact nippleless. Very, very nippleless.
What do you mean nippleless?
Oh, well, you can't see
Lacking?
them.
Oh.
It's just they're undetectable because he is wearing an undershirt under his shirt. That's why, undershirt. Hence, camouflaged nipples. Yeah. Actually, that would be, I want camouflaged nipples. And instead of having nipples that are maybe not so noticeable, they end up getting painted in camouflage. It's oh no, this is not what I wanted. Jeannie, why did you do this? Well, you said you wanted camouflage nipples. Yeah. So I've given you German Flecktarn nipples. Now you're very camouflaged.
Yes.
But yeah, it is that time of year where it's just cold. And you know what? Have you noticed that this past spring, we had 2-3 weeks of spring?
Yep.
And then we've only had 2-3 weeks of fall weather. It's still nice enough. However, you could wear a sweater, but it's not overly cold enough to where it's not uncomfortable, where now we're in the 30s.
Right.
Where you're considering wearing a beanie and probably another jacket over your sweater so that way you're a bit less cold.
Yeah.
So far, I'm still going to work without a beanie and a jacket, because you know what? I don't see the need just yet, but if it's going to be 30 degrees at its highest, I will probably start wearing both of those when that becomes the high, and even less.
It was 33 the other night. We were 1 degree above freezing.
33?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the same temperature as what my cooler is at work.
Aww.
Where we keep all of our fruit before it gets put on the floor.
The nipple is the body's natural thermometer.
It is.
You wake up and they're stiff. It must be below 0.
Yeah.
Or below freezing. If they were below 0, they'd be like the Empire State Building on your body.
They would just be frozen solid.
Then you would really cut glass.
Yep.
Or it's like Quagmire's hacksaw penis, and his acetylene torch penis, and
What?
This is from Family Guy, and I don't know. I'm just thinking weird stuff.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's just a very short video on YouTube where some person just recorded that one scene where Peter, Quagmire, and what's the guy in the wheelchair? Joe? No.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yep.
and they're handcuffed in the back of a squad car, and you can just hear the unzipping of pants, and you can just hear Quagmire's penis saw through hardened chains like it was butter. And then when he goes for Peter's, he saws halfway through and say, these handcuffs are built of a stronger metal. I'll have to go with the acetylene torch penis. Don't look at the flames. My STDs make it burn brighter.
This is a real thing on the show?
Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, you could probably just find it right away. But yeah, it's one of those things on YouTube where you just accidentally found and then realized this is great. And stupid and great at the same time.
So earlier I was asking you if you're familiar with Abbott and Costello.
Probably not, because I got Ollie and
Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy.
Yeah, I got that confused with that.
They were closer to the no sound era of comedy.
Pretty much.
Laurel and Hardy. They like that's right when the talkies started.
So they were during silent movies.
Well, they started in the silent era, and when they made Laurel and Hardy,
they were at the tail end of the silent era when they became
right at
talkies.
the beginning of talkies.
Yeah.
Abbott and Costello, I think, were like 10, 15, maybe even 20 years afterwards.
So you're talking about 40s, 50s.
50s, probably.
Because really the first talkie was 1920. I don't know. Someone in the audience is going to correct me about when the first talkie was ever made. My latest guess would be 1927, but that almost seems too late. But maybe like 1924. I don't know. Someone will tell us.
Hopefully.
One day.
So I think just to familiarize you with Abbott and Costello, I'm going to play just a quick minute or so.
I didn't see the lights there. I forgot about it. What the world are you doing? Why interrupt my act like this? Well, look, Mr. Flores, after all, if you're in a ballpark, they always sell peanuts and popcorns and things like that. I know that's Sebastian, but not in front of him. I beg his pardon. Ladies and gentlemen, and also the children, will you excuse me for a minute, please? Thank you. What do you want to do? Look, Mr. Flores. Right. What are you doing? I love baseball. Well, we all love baseball. When we get to St. Louis, will you tell me the guys' names on the team so I go to see them in that St. Louis ballpark? I'll be able to know those fellas. Well, now, is it all right, folks? All right. Excuse me, I want to find out the fellow's name. As long as it's okay with me. I'm crazy about baseball. Will you stand still? Pick up your hat. Don't pick up your hat. Now look. Then you'll go and petty your popcorn and don't interrupt the act anymore. Yes, sir. All right. But you know, strange they seem, they give ball players nowadays very peculiar names. Funny names? Nicknames. Not as funny as my name, Sebastian Dinwiddie. Oh, yes. Funnier than that. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Now, on the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third. That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team. I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second. I don't know who's on third. You know the fellas' names? Yes. Well, then who's playing first? Yes. I mean the fellow's name on first base. Who? The fellow playing first base for St. Louis. Who? The guy on first base. Who is on first? Well, what are you asking me for?
So I've heard of this. So I've definitely heard of this skit before.
That's the man's name. That's whose name? Yeah.
It's very classic. I never really knew specifically who, but I have heard references to that throughout life. So
Probably one of their most famous acts.
It is pretty funny. I have to say that.
Yeah.
Comedians.
Who's your favorite? If you had to pick a favorite duo in any era, from now till back then, and in between. Favorite comedy duo?
I have to say this because I've seen them in so many movies together and they work so well, whether together or against. I have to say Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson will always kind of be my favorite duo because it's so cliche. It's like a guilty pleasure. It's kind of like, I don't know, Adam Sandler and I don't know if he's actually consistent.
Adam Sandler kind of bounces around between
people,
comedy partners.
But Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller had this good vibe for like 15, 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Which there's actually times where they play rival roles, which is kind of fantastic.
I've got a better comedy duo for you.
Okay.
For modern era. Chris Farley and David Spade.
Okay. Yeah.
They were magical together. Even though they always kind of played themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Always funny.
I would say my all-time... Actually, to say all-time is hard to do. You know what? I'm not going to pick an all-time because
yeah,
it's
just... go through them. Just go through other comedy duos you like.
Not so much duos. I actually don't follow duos all that often. That's why the only one that I ever really followed is really Stiller and Wilson. Because that's just... Okay. So my mom likes watching the old movies.
Oh,
Me,
yeah.
I don't mind old movies, but I never go out of my way to see them unless it's something I'm looking specifically for. Otherwise, I really don't look at old movies unless it's like a classic or... Really, the most common old movie that I usually see all the time is Wizard of Oz, because you know what?
Classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
But I don't go out of my way to see much else from that time period. Yeah, there's a lot of classics of that time period. It's just it's never really fully took me in to get an interest to actually see it. It's like Casablanca. That's a really famous movie, and you know what? I may have only seen parts of it, but never the full movie. But it's a
long movie.
It's also a long ass movie, but it's a classic. I have seen parts of Gone with the Wind, but I've never seen it in full. But I think my favorite old time... Actually, okay, I have different periods. So, my all-time early comedian would have to certainly be Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
Because you know what? He's not the one that pioneered comedy in movies. However, he's the one that took it to the next level as far as...
he was a genius.
Oh, yeah. And the way how he did The Dictator was done amazingly. And this movie was made in 1940, knowing that the Second World War was already in full motion. He made that movie in America, I believe. Because he was in America at the... Actually, I think he went from England to... Actually, no, he may have already been living in America at that point. Anyway, then I guess it's beside the point.
Charlie Chaplin was from where, though, originally?
England? I think he may have been from England initially. I don't know. Anywho, Charlie Chaplin will always be my early time comedian that always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Now, he's never starred so much in movies. In fact, he's only been in one movie in his entire career. But he's done so many skits throughout a good couple decades.
Yeah.
Benny Hill. He is by far my favorite middle 20th century comedian that really, really... he's actually the reason why that I got interested in comedy is that when they used to do reruns of Benny Hill,
yeah,
which they don't do anymore, which
No,
I'm
they
sad.
don't. It's so sad.
But they haven't done that in like maybe 10, 15 years.
Yep.
Honestly, the man's a genius. There was never an episode, there was never a skit that at least didn't make me chuckle. It's got to be spontaneous laughter to be funny. You just can't force a laugh because then it's not funny. You're just forcing it.
Yeah.
Benny Hill was another character that always made me laugh.
And
Almost.
the Brit.
What?
He was British.
Oh, he was certainly British. Oh yeah. And my late 20th century, or actually there'd be many really. There's a lot of actors and comedians that have done skits and TV shows and movie roles. I think that'd be way too many to list, at least for an episode like this. Maybe for specific, but I'd almost be talking about shows at that point.
Yeah.
I would say Benny Hill, Charlie Chaplin, Dick Van Dyke. If I had to pick an American from the same time period as Benny Hill, I would say Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
He was a genius ahead of his time.
Yep.
And another comedian, but far out there, was of course Andy Kaufman. And he's an individual that at first I didn't get his comedy.
Yep.
Because it was only meant to be funny for him.
Yep.
Or it's pretty much what he thought was funny that many people didn't get.
He was way ahead of his time.
And he ended up turning out to be way ahead of the curve that a lot of comedians actually look up to. Not to be up to his caliber, but just to simply inspire to say, hey, find what's funny to you, make it funny for others.
I almost consider him to be kind of a selfish comedian, only
Yes.
in that he did not want the audience to be in on it, ever.
Yeah.
The minute people got it,
He moved on.
he changed it up.
Yeah.
When he started like his real quiet solo act, doing the character that we came to know as Latka on Taxi, once that character was beloved by people by millions because of Taxi, he didn't want to do it anymore
He hated it.
because it was not funny to him anymore.
No. And yet he did it from 1977 to 1983
For a paycheck.
for pretty much a paycheck. I think the first 3 years of that series, he was actually having fun doing the character.
Yeah.
And really, afterwards, he was only doing the character because it was a means to get money. And that was really his only big gig.
Plus, I don't think he liked sitcoms very much. He didn't like the canned laughter.
That too. Also, did you know canned laughter was invented in Milwaukee?
I did not know that.
I did not know that until a few years ago. That just a random fact of the day. That did you know that the a laugh track was first implemented on a Milwaukee talk show radio back in the 1950s
Huh.
or something like that. Hence, the laugh track was created.
And it's been used ever since.
And it's been used in either accentuated many, many shows or ruined them.
So for me, my dad got me started on Laurel and Hardy.
I do like them.
Laurel and Hardy are good. Abbott and Costello, as we just talked about. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis.
I'm not familiar with those.
Another really great comedy duo. If you saw something, you would immediately realize. Moving forward in time tremendously, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Nope, doesn't ring a bell.
The two from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, the ones
Simon
who...
Pegg and then his fat friend.
Oh, okay, so it's like Hot Fuzz.
Yes, Hot Fuzz, another one with them.
They are the British...
They're the modern day Laurel and Hardy, if you will.
They are the British versions of Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, except there's no, "Oh, come on, guys, and broken nose.
Yeah.
Because I think every movie they've been together, they've always been together. I don't know, would you say Silent Bob and Jay would be a comedian?
Jay and Silent Bob, another duo.
Except they're more cool, though.
They are. But, again, the genius behind it is the quiet person.
Yeah.
Silent Bob.
Yeah.
You know, a.k.a. Oh, God. I can't think of the Kevin Smith.
Isn't he the one that actually directed Clerks?
Wrote, produced, directed, and acted in it.
And he didn't say a single word. That's
In
genius.
the first one, I don't think he did. In the second, all the rest of his movies, he would give himself one scene where it would be just a paragraph of some epiphanal thing that helps the main characters of the film to overcome
An obstacle.
and set off basically the turning point of the film.
And then they all look at him and they're like, "Ooh."
And after that, not another peep.
See, that's fantastic.
He did that in Clerks 2, Chasing Amy, Mallrats,
Dogma.
Dogma. Actually, Dogma, he had more speaking role, maybe.
I like the scene in Dogma where they were in that poor Cavalier that they revved the hell out of that engine. Like, oh, we gotta get there. Let's get there quickly. And then no, it's not Silent. It's Jay's the one driving, but he doesn't know how to drive stick, so he kept it in first gear and burnt out the engine.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, how are we gonna get there now?
Yeah.
I knew immediately what would happen when you saw the scene with the gauge cluster. Everything all lights up like, they fried it.
Yep.
And next scene, it is.
No, that guy, Jay, he's nothing like his character in real life.
Is he more mellow?
Yeah, definitely more mellow. Always getting in trouble, though, with the law.
In real life?
Yes. Drugs.
Oh.
I mean, he's been in and out of prison I don't know how many times.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not...
His friends always bail him out.
I did not expect that.
Yeah. We should probably go through more of those episodes of Comic Book Men because he comes on for an episode. God. It's hard watching him even.
What is he
When
aged?
he's unscripted, no, it's not even the age thing. Him unscripted, man, he's not funny. And he's awkward and steals shit from the store, from the comic book store.
Not to be funny, just to steal
Just
it.
to steal it.
I guess when you have an off-screen
I mean, that store is
reputation, you may as well follow it.
It's not just owned by one person, it's owned by two. It's owned by Kevin Smith and his friend.
Oh, Kevin Smith, the Silent Bob, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He holds partnership in that store.
You think Silent Bob or Kevin Smith bails him out of jail?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Because how long has it been since they've both done a movie together where they were Jay and Silent Bob?
They've been doing those characters forever. But I
So
don't know how good of friends they are in real life. I don't know.
So it's just more of a means to do an act and a paycheck more than, hey, I know this guy who can really do this
Yeah.
quite well.
Because he can. I mean, he can act. He's taking all the toast pieces.
Yep. This is my favorite part of Chex Mix is all the toast and rye chips, because you know what? They're the best.
They are the best.
And I'd piss off all my friends at Boy Scouts when they say, oh, God damn it, who ate all the rye chips? And I'd stuff my face and then run.
Like a chipmunk.
Oh, you know it. Who's Chickmunk?
Aw.
And you know what? Oh, I was guilty every time, which is why they always ate the rye chips before I would get in.
Here's another another duo that kind of stands out. Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis and Butthead.
Carol Burnett and Vicki Lawrence.
Yes. Yes.
Carol Burnett, another genius person. Oh my God. And when she got her show, man, they didn't want to give it to her. They didn't want to give her the slot. They didn't want to give anything to her. And
That was a fantastic show.
it was a fantastic show. And so many funny people came out of it.
Actually, from a previous episode between our favorite TV shows, we both put down Carol Burnett's show as one of our favorites.
Yeah. Harvey Korman was funny. Cracked up every skit almost because of
Because of Carol, right?
no,
Oh.
well because of Carol and the other guy, the I can't think of the other actor's name.
Sideburns dude.
He walked real slow.
I
What is his name?
forget what's his name, but
Oh my God. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor were another one for a while. In
yeah,
the 70s and 80s, man, they did so many movies together.
that too. Yeah,
And they were both funny.
didn't they do like a cop show or something like that?
Mhm.
That's funny.
Talk about, like, where are they now? I haven't heard anything from them. The two guys from Harold and Kumar.
Yeah,
They were funny in that movie together.
and then suddenly they dropped off the face of the earth.
And then I think Kumar, he's got a stand-up comedy act now, if I'm not mistaken.
Or Cheech and Chong.
Cheech and Chong, another one. Yep,
You haven't heard from them in a while, but then
Yeah.
again, they're getting up in age.
they are.
And of course, Gene Wilder has passed on for a good, 4 or 5 years at this point, which is sad.
Yeah.
And he was a Milwaukee native too, so that's pretty cool.
How about Keenan and Kel?
I don't know about them, but Key and Peele.
Key and Peele.
Key and Peele's my favorite modern
Yeah.
duo.
For female acts, Laverne and Shirley,
Yep.
they were so good. And Lucy and Ethel were also very funny together.
Brought to you by Hams.
Unofficially.
They've yet to give us our cut.
Yeah. We plug them every episode, too, almost. Tim Conway was the other guy from the Carol Burnett show. Tim Conway and Harvey Korman. And Tim Conway, I think he played Adolf Hitler in one episode.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Now, I can say this. I don't know exactly what people will think of it, but let's just talk about it in a retrospect sense. There are a few, actually there's only really 2 sets of furry comedians out there.
Uh-huh.
In the past, they're no longer really doing anything together for, I guess, obvious reasons that we can tell.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Is Uncle Kage and the Ranting Griffin.
They were good together.
They were a good duo.
They were. I enjoyed them. There were a few moments that were really good. I wish that...
They were really good in Germany. When they were in Europe, they got incredibly... they had a bit more freedom, it seemed. Which is odd enough to say. And I'd say this is more of a trio, because they all work so well together, is Xander the Blue, Alkali Bismuth, and Pandez, our favorite Canadian.
Oh, yeah. Pandez.
They all work so well, and you know what? They're the only trio I can think of that really play along with each other incredibly well.
That sounded a little bit bad, but that's okay.
That's okay, because they might be playing around. I don't know. I don't know, really.
Go ahead and play around with each other, guys. It's fine.
Take pictures.
Take pictures. Send them to my in my DMs.
But that's it really for furry. But then again, there really hasn't been anyone else. At least that has been
How about
known.
Is the Comedy Bunny?
Chris the comedy buddy.
Such a funny person.
They are.
I cry.
Some of that stuff gets real, and it's funny and sad and incredible and
it hits home.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's why Chris is so funny.
The realism.
Yeah, the realism.
The realism, but
relatability.
The
relatability
in realism.
Realism is what makes it so funny.
And how they were able to accept...
All of Chris's material is good.
Oh, yeah. Iggy.
Who, what?
Iggy.
Iggy Pop?
No, Iggy. The furry. He can get funny, too.
I don't know Iggy.
The guy with the bowler hat. Beard, long hair, glasses.
Yeah.
Tends to get shit on by the rest of the gang.
Well, you always need the fall guy or the... what do you call that person that takes all the abuse?
Anyway, you need a stool.
Yeah.
I may as well just go with like funny furry people.
Who's the other guy that always runs the How to Kill a Con?
Fur.
Fur is funny.
Fur is funny.
I don't think Fur even means to be funny, but he is funny.
He is actually legitimately funny. I think he really is funny.
Yeah.
Dragor. There's some stuff that he says that can get pretty funny.
Yeah.
Boozy Badger. He's only been in this fandom since 2017, but because of his field that he works in, there's so much that he has seen, much like Uncle Kage, that he can do story after story.
And I'll admit that my jealousy of his increased fame from 0 to 100.
He went from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds.
Yeah. So I'm a
didn't take
little bit
very
jealous of that, but I enjoy him as well.
I think he deserves
and I
it.
love that he brings his entire family to conventions.
This is one of the very, very few furry families out there that I know of. There was one.
I'm sure that when he took that case, that fateful case that introduced him to the furry fandom, I'm sure within a day or two he came home to his wife and he was like, "You've got to see this."
Yeah, we're
I'm sure
incredible.
that they both it immediately resonated with them, and they were like, "Well, we have to be a part of this for sure."
I mean, you really have to be open to be one of us, because if you're not open-minded in this fandom, you're going to have a hard time meshing. It's not to say you couldn't be in this fandom and be closed-minded.
Yeah, open-minded. Did you hear that, Huskoon? Open-minded. Just kidding.
He's somewhere in a garbage barrel somewhere. He's like, someone said my name. My ears are burning.
Goalie eyes poking out.
Aw. There are very, very few furry families out there, actual legit furry families, and I think the only one that I know of are the Groders. And that's an old name that a lot of older furs in this fandom would probably know, but they're not really relevant anymore, but it is nice to mention them.
Yeah.
But really, the Badger family is kind of the furriest of furry families, which is pretty nice. There are a lot of budding comedians out there. Really, Pant and Dez and Xander the Blue are very much more comedians than storytellers, where Uncle Kage and Alkali Bismuth are more storytellers, which is kind of more my thing. I can make a joke, but beyond that, I'm like stuck with, oh, well, let me tell you a story. I'm more of kind of a storyteller more than I am a comedian. I can enjoy comedy. I just somehow cannot get into stand-up because it's just doesn't come natural to me as much as telling a story. But you can get comedy in both telling jokes and telling a story. It's really what your content is that will hopefully bring out laughter.
Yeah.
Really, it's just really the whole fun game of getting the audience to laugh or even chuckle. Anytime that I go on an open mic, if I can get someone to chuckle just once, I've definitely made definitely worth my stay on stage for 4 minutes to drive a story down.
Yeah.
Which actually, you know what, has taught me the proud lesson to shut up, get to the point, but get as concise as you can without going over your allotted time. And I think that has been my most fun challenge is, and this is just me personally, I enjoyed storytelling. I like to embellish because that's what really storytelling is all about. You have to embellish. That's what Pandas told me back in 2016. Mm-hmm. No, 2015. No, it was 2016. I think it was. It may have been 2016. I can't remember. It's been so long since my first open mic. And I told him about the burning log cabin incident.
Yep.
And he wanted me to accentuate, to exaggerate pretty much the emotions, the details, whatnot, to make the story seem more interesting, and I took that to heart. But I also knew you have 4 minutes on stage. Nothing's worse than going too much into a story, and then before you even get to the punchline of what you're going with, that they tell you that your time is up.
Right.
That's my biggest fear, and I'm glad to say I have never gotten to that point where I had to rush up a story, because I was able to time myself, which really is a nice challenge. It's challenging, but it's a nice, fun challenge. And I'm an idiot because I never practice any of my stand-up. Or not my stand-up, my storytelling. But comedy is fun. It just makes me smile. Especially at a time like this. In 2020, where everything sucks. Yeah. You have to find a means to make you laugh. Because you can't be in reality. They say, oh, well, you can't be living in fantasy all the time. You gotta go back to reality, because that's what really we're all in. Like, well, yeah, you're not wrong. But you're also not right that if you stay in reality far too long, you kind of burn out.
I actually blame 2020 for our humor and our themes we've used since we've started this podcast. 2020, the year of shit.
The year of shit, and you know what? Hey, the theme of shit continues, as is tradition.
We're just following suit with the pattern of the year. So, if anybody has a problem with our shitty podcasts, blame it on 2020.
Yep. And speaking of 2020, this is our 20th episode. Woo! So we are 2020. Too bad that this could not have been 10-2020, but then again, one was 20. That was a Wednesday, I think. I don't know. But it's cool that we made it to 20 episodes, though. That is pretty neat, though.
Yeah.
But comedy is what I always enjoy. I'm not so much a horror movie fan.
No, you're not a horror movie.
No, I don't like horror Now, if it had comedy in it, that's different. But when there's no comedy in it...
Army of Darkness.
What's that?
It's a slapstick horror film.
You know what's one movie that I thought was a total comedy show? Because it had Steve Carell, and I absolutely love Steve Carell. Because he's always a funny man. Mm-hmm. I like funny actors. I love my funny people. And he was in the movie This Is the End. And I was walking in and have you ever been to a movie where you thought, because you only saw the previews on the movie screen, on TV and whatnot, and for some reason the ads made it feel like comedy?
Yeah.
But also because it's Stephen Carell. So I thought, okay, this could be a pretty funny movie about the end of the world. You know what? It was incredibly depressive.
It was depressive. It was gory.
Like, he had someone fall on his car when he parked. He's the only one showing up to work. You know, the last week on planet Earth of your own existence, and you're still showing up to work,
Yeah.
which shows that your dedication to life doesn't stray from what's going on in the world, which means that you have tact, that you're willing to still do something that's worthwhile to you. Which is sad, because you think the last week on Earth, you just want to fuck off and just kind of, masturbate as much as you can before the end of the Earth burns up because asteroids or solar flare or whatever. No, he's driving his Buick Century to work, to an insurance company or whatever it's called. And as soon as he parks it in the parking garage, a body smashes into the window of his car because people are committing suicide because they don't want to go out. It was not exactly what I was expecting.
I feel like the movie tried to be funny at times, but it just didn't. It kept missing the mark.
Or it's like when they're getting picked up by that one stranger in that truck, and apparently he hired an assassin to shoot him without knowing. And it turned out that when he was picking up the character of Steve Carell, is it Steven or Steve Carell? I think it's Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
I don't know why I said Steven. I have a cousin Steven, but I guess Steven's on the mind or something. And as soon as he picks him up and says, "Hey, where are you going?" he gets shot in the head. Yeah. And that's just because it's planned, because he knew that it was going to happen. This is a dark, very interesting subject, but very dark movie. And going into that movie theater, I was like all smiles and whatnot. And then at the end, it's like, that's a total mind fuck. I'm not expecting that.
Yeah.
Those kind of movies, it's not to say I don't care for, but totally was not expecting that by any stretch.
I was expecting it to be much funnier.
Yeah.
It just did not do it. You
saw the movie, huh?
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts when you were going to that movie theater?
I didn't see it in the theater.
So pretty much when you were downloading the movie illegally on Onion.
Didn't say that.
Redacted. What did you thought before you hit play?
I thought this would be pretty funny.
And what happened during the movie?
I thought this was awkward and trying to be funny, and it was almost trying too hard to be funny.
Exactly.
To the point where it was just awkward and not funny.
And then after the movie?
I felt like I wasted an hour and a half of my life.
That's exactly what I thought.
I was angry because the people that I liked all died.
Yeah.
Not everybody died. A lot of people died, though.
Wait a minute. I thought it was a whole planet that got...
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember the end. By the ending, I had lost so much interest.
In the movie, yeah. To think that I paid $10 to see that movie at the Ridge.
Yeah.
And then realized, with my friend who also likes Steve Carell, we both looked at each other and said, what the fuck did we just expect? Like, we weren't expecting to see this.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not good.
That was one movie I just did not really expect to go that route. You want to hear... So, we're on the topic of movies. Let's get into an interesting subject. Let's talk about a guilty pleasure when watching a movie. Meaning, whether if it was a good movie back in the day, when you were younger, you thought of things different, you look back and say, oh, it doesn't age so well, but you still like it today. Or it can be a movie so played, or kind of forgotten, or overhyped, or whatever, back in the day was great, and then now it's like, oh, okay, big deal.
Yeah.
I think I have to say when I was a kid, and I don't watch these movies anymore because I totally grew out of them, was the Spy Kids movie, which you were too old.
I liked it.
Okay, so you saw
it came out while I was working at Blockbuster.
So I like Spy Kids, but because I'm weird and whatnot, I pretty much saw the movies in French. Or at least dubbed in French, which I gotta tell you, American movies dubbed in French is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw Spy Kids 1 and 2. I liked them growing up, and now looking back, it's like they're fun, cute movies, but it doesn't age all that well. The one movie that I thought was okay, but now looking back, it's like, oh, why did I watch this a few more times than I ever needed to, was Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which
I don't think I ever saw it.
is worth not watching.
Iron Giant was a great movie.
I liked Iron Giant. That's never so much a guilty. It's not so much a guilty pleasure.
That's just a good movie.
It's just really a good movie.
Yep.
To me, because I like storm chasing and tornadoes and a total nerd on meteorology.
Yep.
I like the movie Twister.
Yep. That's definitely a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Because it's got a lot of really questionable moments. It's aged okay.
It's
I
aged
mean,
okay.
They refined what they did as far as the special effects. It was good for what it was, for when it came out. The only problem I ever had with that movie was the last scene with the two, where they tied themselves to some plumbing coming out of the ground.
With a fan belt.
Like a fan belt. Because in all reality,
They would have turned into spaghetti.
they would have been ripped to shreds, and they were just floating there like angels.
At that point, the tornado was doing their business on them, like, there's the suction,
Unless, even then, I would say maybe, I'm trying to like give them the benefit of the doubt, like maybe the tornado was dying down at that point anyway, so it wasn't at 100%.
That's
But
still a
it's still-
giant-ass tornado.
It's still, I mean, if it was enough to lift them off the ground and pull them towards the center, towards the eye, I mean, that's hundreds of miles an hour. They would have been, yeah. It would
And
have,
to think that a tornado has a small, tiny tube inside the funnel, which is kind of bogus, because that's not how it really is. It's a
No.
concentrated funnel. However, a tornado's funnel is condensation plus debris. There is no tiny tunnel or funnel or tube inside a tornado's funnel.
yeah.
It's just literally a cone.
You would have loved to come with me and my best friend to all the tornado seminars at Fermilab in Illinois.
Do they still do this?
Possibly. Fermilab is the largest particle accelerator facility in all of the Midwest.
Yep.
And
And it was temporarily shut down because of a chipmunk.
yes, well, you know, when they get in there, you gotta,
They have to nibble.
yeah. And Channel 9, WGN's weatherman, I can't think of his name right now. He was a West Aurora High School graduate, not my alma mater. Should have been. I should have gone to West Aurora High School, but I didn't. He's the guy that ran all the seminars.
There was one seminar, I think it was last year or the year before, that I wanted to go, but I think it may have been at my last job when it was on a weekend, and I didn't take off, which I was so pissed.
Mm-hmm.
It was with Pico's Hank, or Hank Shima, one of my favorite tornado chasers of all time. Of course, there's Reed Timmer. Of course, there was Tim Samaras, but he's long past. 7 years by now. But Hank Shima is like one of the more down-to-earth, literally down-to-earth tornado chasers. And he did a seminar in Chicagoland.
Mm-hmm.
I could have met him in person. And he's weird just like me. And I didn't go, and I'm so pissed. I'm so sad. If you like storm chasing, and you like humor, and you like storm chasing and humor, and suspense and a man playing with lizards. Please.
A man playing with himself.
I don't think I'd want to see that. Because he's kind of like a modern day hero for me. But anyway, go to YouTube and type up Pecos Hank. Pecos Hank. It's like Hank Hill. Also from Texas. Probably not into propane though. But
No, probably not.
I wanted to go to that symposium and I didn't, and I'm kicking myself in the tail since then. But yeah, with like guilty pleasure movies. What is something that is bad that I still like? What's another movie? Because I'm sure there's probably a few that I like that are kind of bad and kind of silly.
Zoolander.
Zoolander is funny.
Bad, but funny.
And bad and funny. I would definitely have to say Spaceballs, although it is a good movie.
It is, but it's bad.
But it's also bad, but it's funny at the same time, and I enjoy it anyway.
Yeah. What's that Star Trek-esque?
Galaxy Quest. That's a good one, too. I love watching that one.
Yeah. With Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
Sigourney
Alan
Weaver,
Rickman.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yep. They had a lot of good names. Big names for what was kind of a smallish movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it did well in the box office.
Did not.
It actually kind of bombed a bit.
It did.
Looking back,
But it was a good movie.
It was a good movie. You know what? This is a go-to. Any Adam Sandler movie. Because you know it's kind of bad, but it's also, in my eye, pretty good.
Not any, though. He's made some bad ones.
Mr. Deed.
Little Nicky.
Yeah. Mr. Deed, because apparently he has a dead foot. And apparently he smashed through the ice with his frostbitten dead foot. So he saved someone's life by smashing through 4 feet of ice.
50 First Dates was a good movie.
By him?
Mm-hmm.
Click got real. You
What?
know the movie Click?
Oh.
The one with the super duper remote. Yeah.
Oh, that was a terrible movie.
There was a bit of some realism where, you know, what if you had the chance to change the world and your surroundings within it, it can also fuck you up big in the end, which is a bit of a kind of a realist situation of sometimes imperfect can be perfect.
I thought it was a terrible movie.
I
didn't like it.
Which ones? There's so many good.
Hubie Halloween is one that he just put out or is coming out.
Oh, the one where Game On or no, the one where he was playing our arcade games.
Oh God, I know what you're talking about.
Which one
Was
is
that him or was
Yeah,
that
that's
some...
actually him. Him and with the guy from Game of Thrones.
Wasn't
Tyrion, the guy who played Tyrion.
Wasn't there like a giant
Peter Dinklage or something, or
wasn't there a giant Pac-Man in there that like, kills like the creator of Pac-Man?
Yeah.
I don't think that was Adam Sandler.
That was Adam Sandler.
Was it? Oh, Pixels.
Pixels, yeah.
That was terrible. I was just downright angry at that movie.
You were hissing.
I was. You want to talk about a weird movie that he did?
The Waterboy.
Waterboy is okay.
Waterboy's okay, but it's got so many of his own tropes in there.
The Wedding Singer was a good movie.
Yeah.
I remember I don't know how many times he would take a break and he would let his partner take over. He called him George because he looked like Boy George from the 80s. And he would just sing that same song every time. And everybody at the wedding party would just be like, oh. Because it was, do you really want to hurt me? And he would start in and he was like, I need time. And the lyrics of the song go, do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry? Do you really want to hurt me? Yeah. Bad. So bad, but so funny. Here's a movie that I'm sure you've never seen.
Is it with Adam Sandler?
With Adam Sandler. Punch Drunk Love.
No, I've never heard of that one.
That movie was actually really good. They called it a comedy drama romance. And it's so weird. Because he's working in like a warehouse. All by himself. His character does not know how to talk on the phone really well with people. He's kind of awkward and doesn't want to deal with the general public. And he goes out like on a quick 5-minute coffee break. And this truck goes by. There's like a huge accident. And a tiny piano falls out of the truck. And he takes it and he puts it in his warehouse. That's what I remember the most about it. But it's really good beyond that, from what I recall.
He became a pianist.
No, he did not.
Oh.
But it was a really good movie. It was really weird.
Actually, I was hoping you'd see a tiny penis just dropped out of the truck.
Another one that failed. I mean, the budgeted $25 million, only box office $24.7 million.
So it didn't even make back the money it was thrown in there. Wow.
Nope. When that happens, I think that most of these actors forfeit their paychecks.
Which explains why Adam Sandler was in so many movies.
Yeah.
Because he was actually probably hurting.
Yep.
Which explains why he started getting a bit more serious with each acting role, which worked out great in some. Some people were expecting an Adam Sandler movie, weren't.
I mean, you talk about another actor that was well known for being comedic, but wanted to get into more serious acting. Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
Another one. Truman Show was great.
With Jim Carrey?
Yeah. You remember that?
Yep.
That was the reality show that was based around his life. Do you remember that?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the whole movie was based around this one character who was born in this fake, city. And everyone else that lives there is an actor. Except for him. He's the only genuine character in the whole show. Everyone else is fake. I can't believe you've never seen it.
I love Jim Carrey, and as far as his movies...
I'm putting that on a list to watch. We're watching that. 'Cause that's a phenomenal movie. What other Jim Carrey movies? The Mask.
Having Fun with Dick and Jane is my favorite.
That was good.
And based on a somewhat true story. It's not based on a true...
It's based on characters that...
From real events that happened. It's pretty much the Enron collapse from the early 2000s, where businesses literally fell apart and ordinary people took the fall and they got ruined by it.
Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty, yeah.
Liar, Liar.
Liar, Liar. Of course, Dumb and Dumber. That's a
classic.
That's always a classic. Which other one did he do? I can't think of any. He's another one of my favorite comedians too of the modern age.
Yeah, definitely.
If anything, he is one of the only comedians I can think of who uses his full, not, I would say talents as far as his comedy goes. It's more of facial expressions done by a comedian. I have never seen any actor go as far as he does when it comes to facial expressions.
Yeah.
He really goes far and beyond than other actors in that role, or genre.
I just came across a really odd note for myself here.
Mm-hmm.
This is called where is it now? Stuff to share. And this, no context. I'm just going to read this. This is my notes from I don't know how long ago.
The loaf notes.
Possibly from my old phone, so well over a year ago. When I shit. Sorry about it, guys.
It had
Hold
to
on,
happen.
I'm not done.
Okay.
When I shit, my dick touched the water.
Oh, what the fuck? What the hell?
That's what it says.
Wait.
WATA, water.
What? Did you take a shit in New Jersey or something like that? Oh yeah, I took a shit, and my pee-pee touched the water.
I think it was here. I think it was before you guys had your plumbing issue fixed. The water was much higher in that toilet. And I think when I shit, either my balls or my penis
Oh no!
actually dipped into the water. Oh God, I'm sorry.
Are you saying you dangle?
I dangle. I definitely dangle. Public toilets, I have to make an effort to lift them and keep them in place, just so they don't test the water for me.
Actually, if you let them too, they'll go back into your body. Like, oh, hey, it's wet, man. Here, let's actually go up. Oh, that sounds fine. And then they rise. They rise closer to you.
I think I'm gonna head for bed soon.
I think that's a fun new low and high at the same time.
Yeah, I think so. I got early work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have to loaf on all the bananas.
Are you still loafing on pumpkins?
Yes.
Aw.
And some of them, the pumpkin innards have come out.
Ooh.
Yes. And some of the pumpkins are soft. Some of them have acne. Some of them
Have dick holes?
No, not ours, thankfully. I'm waiting to find one.
Oh, this thing's been fucked. Oh, we can't
this
sell
pumpkin's
this.
been screwed. Oh, who screwed this? Who screwed my pumpkin?
Who screwed my pumpkin?
They don't want to screw our
They put a
pumpkin.
price tag over the hole and say, "Ah, damn it, our pumpkin's been fucked with."
There are stickers on there. I should check under the stickers.
Our pumpkin's been fucked. Oh, and we didn't know this whole time.
Yeah.
It's full of seed.
It now has two kinds of seed in it.
It's got two kinds of seed. Well, hey, it's Halloween themed.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good time to
Yep.
end things. So, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Zooming Hoosk Podcast. And again, I am your host, Dustin DaHusky.
And I'm Kurdan Sourpuss.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next time.